Welcome to Binging
Dragon!
What is going on, mi gente? Welcome back to another episode of Binging Dragons. My name is Rubén, aka Crossroads, and with me today is a really cool friend of mine called...
Hey,
Actually,
or Blofpum.
Exactly. One of the best nicknames I've seen around. I love it. We're going to be talking about Daredevil, Marvel in general, and I'll also be asking Haley a few questions as well, since it's her first time here on the pod. And I did forget to ask you, and we're part
That's
of
okay.
the Discord, but you go by her, she, her?
Yes, she.
Okay,
her.
cool. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Daredevil, Marvel in general. There's some very exciting things coming around. Thunderbolts this week, I think it is.
Yes, on May 2nd.
May 2nd. And we're also getting Fantastic Four later in this summer. So there's a lot of awesome things coming out. And but I'm really excited to have Haley here today. And I know you guys will love her a whole lot because she's really awesome. So
Thank
Haley,
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Ruben. I'm happy to be here, and I'm a Marvel fanatic, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yep. That's why I reached out to you. So just to give people a little bit of context, there might be some of our friends that will be watching this, so they know who you are, right? And they'll
Yes.
be really surprised about this. I'm sure nobody's going to be expecting this. And we are really big fans of a podcast called Streaming Things. And shout out Streaming Things, Steve,
Yes.
Andy, Kid, Phil, everyone in there. Madison, of course, Alex, Hatter. I know I'm missing someone. Erica is even there.
Some guy named Jimmy.
Exactly. Just great people. Go check them out. Incredible content there always. But they have a Patreon and they have a Discord in there, and that's how me and Haley know each other.
Yes.
And the Fiendverse, exactly. And I always saw that you were very enthusiastic about Marvel shows and movies in general, the whole Marvel stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll probably I was thinking who to ask to do some Marvel content with me here on the pod. And I had to reach out to you. And
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so you did tell me it is your first time podding,
Yes.
right?
I have never podcasted before.
I know you're gonna be great.
Thanks.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe after this, hopefully you keep doing it. Keep doing some episodes with me.
Yeah. Anytime you want to talk about Marvel.
For Marvel, that would be awesome. But I wanted to ask you, kind of how did you get into Marvel in general? Has this been like a long time love of yours, or
it's kind of a lifetime thing? Obviously, I think I got into it the way most people in my age group got into it, which was Saturday morning cartoons. You get up, you pour your cereal, you turn on the TV, and that X-Men theme song starts blaring, and you're like, yes!
Oh, man.
My little 8-year-old mind is being blown right now.
I love that, man, because I know what you're saying, but for a different franchise, which is Pokemon.
Pokemon!
I remember just waking up every Saturday with my cereal, just super excited about the episodes. So I know what you mean, and that's so cool. So you started with the cartoons and stuff.
Yes, started with the cartoons. I grew up in a very small hometown, and so it wasn't until I was older that I actually got to buy and start reading the comic books. But X-Men has always been a favorite. Also started loving Daredevil after, unfortunately, my first exposure to Daredevil was the Ben Affleck movie.
Oh, who knows? We might see him in Secret Wars. So
I know, it was great seeing Electro pop up in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep.
Fantastic. But that was the first time I'd heard of that character, and so I started seeking out more stories about him, realized there's a whole universe that crosses over. So you start seeing Daredevil hanging out with the X-Men, or then the X-Men are hanging out with the Avengers, and that's what drew me in when I was young. And then they started releasing the movies. I don't think I'll ever forget going to see Iron Man opening night that it came out. It was so good.
Man, I still remember I even remember where I was living and all, and like the movie theater that I went up. Yeah, it was an incredible experience. I remember thinking like, wow, it feels ahead of its time, right?
Yes.
Like at that point we had the X-Men movies, like you said, and the Daredevil, but all of those felt like when Iron Man came out, the first one. At that point, I started thinking like the other ones felt more cheesy or like, I don't know. And I don't want to say that as well to like discredit them or anything, because I love them. They're
they have
like
a special
imprinted
place.
Exactly. Yes. But Iron Man 1 was definitely a big shock in a good way. And
I think it's because it's the first one that felt like it took the costumes and the origins and things that you saw in the comic book seriously. The X-Men is a great movie. Loved it. But it's like, oh, you put them all in black leather because the Matrix is popular.
Right. Yep. Now, did you ever get into like the comics?
Yes, definitely read some of the comics.
Awesome.
And actually trying to remember what year it opened, from 2015 through 2020, I worked at a comic book shop in St. Louis, Missouri.
My God, that is so cool.
Unfortunately, it was a victim of the pandemic and is no longer open. But for 5 years of my life, I got to work in a comic shop.
Man, that is so cool. Did you like they give you guys anything to like keep to yourselves or?
Not necessarily, but I have so many good memories there. I have lifelong friendships. I got to meet some famous people. I got to meet Brian Posehn. I got to meet Jim Mahfood, who I don't know if you know.
I don't think I know.
His artwork is just amazing. Even though you may not recognize his name, if you saw his artwork, it's what inspired the look and style of the Spider-Verse movies.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a really cool guy.
I'll have to write down those names, honestly, because I'm sure they're still around and like doing really good work.
And Brian Posehn wrote some Deadpool comics, and he's a comedian, and he's just kind of looks like your regular average Joe type of guy. And there was a point where no one was coming up to talk to him at the store for whatever reason, so he was walking around the store going, "Hey, I heard there's some famous guy here today."
That's funny. Were you already a fan of? Had you watched Daredevil, the Netflix show? I can't remember.
Yes.
I feel like we talked about this, but I can't remember.
Yes, I had.
So you had.
It was one of those that it just blew my mind that they dropped that whole thing in a day.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I'm calling off work.
Were you working at the comic shop at that point?
No,
Not yet?
just working a retail job at a mall.
Because at that point, if you were working at the comic shop, you probably, man, it feels weird if they would have been like, oh no, man, like giving you some problems to like, no, you actually have to come to work.
You do need to go.
It's like, nah, dude, like this is Marvel. Like you should understand. That's awesome. In my case, I never watched for some damn reason, I never watched the Netflix show. So Daredevil Born Again was my first. I did watch a few clips here and there. I did start it. I think I tried starting it twice. And I remember liking the beginning of it, but some reason every time I would just fall off for some reason.
Yeah.
But Daredevil Born Again, I was so excited for it. And I guess I'll just start asking about Daredevil Born Again, but how did you feel about the show in general now that we got season 1 and knowing as well that it went through so many, how do you say, like loops and hoops to get out with the pandemic, with the rewrites, reshoots, everything?
So overall, I loved it. I do think that you can kind of feel that disjointedness in some episodes, but that doesn't mean any of it is bad. You can just tell that, like, maybe from this episode to the next one, they don't quite connect. I still liked both of them, but I know there's one episode in particular, I think a lot of people, either they loved it or they hated it, was the bank heist episode.
I was a fan of it.
I loved it.
I loved it.
I got online to talk about how I loved it and saw people being like, what was that?
Okay. Yes. I think the thing with this show was that a lot of the people that were fans of the original Netflix show weren't really understanding at times that this show, yes, it wanted to bring the OG fans, obviously with almost, if not the same cast that they had for the OG show, but ultimately they are trying to appeal a new fan
Yes.
base or
Wider
new
audience.
fans, people that never watched the show on Netflix. And that was me, and I thought they did a really good job in that sense of like bringing in the people and giving us a pretty, I thought, a really well and fleshed out story, even
Yes.
though again they had so many. Honestly, that makes me even more excited about season 2, because if they had so many problems to do season 1, season 2 I think it's going to be,
shouldn't have those same hurdles to clear.
Exactly. So I did understand sometimes. I think a lot of people were upset with how they were treating Fisk.
Yeah.
And at times I will say I wasn't feeling Fisk that much. But that was his role. He was trying to like show the people that he has changed, and I feel like at some points even convince himself that he was actually, which that's also a problem when you have a villain with like hero, kind of a hero,
anti-hero, sort of, not necessarily anti-hero, but someone who is trying to make good that has been bad the whole time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought the way they gave us the whole story, I thought it was pretty well done. I my only criticism I would say right now was Muse, and it was because I got so excited about that character, and I remember I didn't really know much about that character.
Same.
And they were really like teasing him all throughout the first, I don't know, like 3 episodes. And I was like, man, this guy is going to be absolutely crazy, and it's going to be a real problem for Matt.
Yes.
And they just got rid of him like pretty fast, honestly.
I was not happy, and not that I didn't like the story in and of itself, but I was sad that he got cut out of it so soon. I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yep. I think that would have been really, really good.
I have a similar frustration with their introduction and an early cutting out of the White Tiger character.
The White Tiger, yes. Oh my God, that was those first 3 episodes. I'm getting goosebumps right now because it was. I've been, for some reason this year, we have gotten so many awesome like Puerto Rican moments in pop culture. Like obviously we have Bad Bunny coming out with a new album that just took over everything, and it broke the barrier of language. Like I know people who don't know shit about Spanish,
I don't know what you're saying, but I like it.
Exactly. And then in shows as well, like in Daredevil, even on The Pit, we got an episode at one point where there's this Puerto Rican girl or lady, and I was like, what is happening right now? What is all this like awesome and not only awesome, but really well crafted little stories of Puerto Ricans in like movies or shows? Because before, obviously, it's like being Latino in any like movie or show, it can get very stereotypical, and it can be bad. It's almost like for the longest time, in the Black community, whenever they had a Black character, it had to be the jokester of the film or whatever. It's like, dude, you can give him so many more roles than just this.
You can do with
so many talented people out there. Like, don't get me wrong, I love like comedy and this and that, but like not for everything, man. Like they can do so much more. So like seeing the story from White Tiger and Hector Ayala and the way it went down, oh my God, it was awesome. And like you, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't even get to see him like at least go out and like save some people or something. And
give
the
me
White
one
Tiger
full
suit.
episode of him being awesome in the costume. That's all I want. But I do like that they've hinted kind of at a torch passing. Possibly.
Yeah, his niece, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh Man, I don't know. I was a pretty big fan of Daredevil Born Again. That
Do you like the
heist
finale?
scene, I gotta say, it's weird. Okay, short, yes. I really liked the finale. I thought it was done really, really good. And I love the connection and the, how do you say, the dynamic between Matt and Frank. Holy
Yes.
shit, that was so good. That was so good, and it had some really good moments. I wish they would have kept the slow motion shots, like take it down a little bit,
Yeah.
because I'm not the biggest fan of like doing like overusing slow motion. I think Steve is the same way.
Yes. I've definitely
I
heard him
remember.
say something about it.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the slow motion stuff. So there was a lot of times where it's just like Frank Castle being absolutely brutal, and
Hmm.
and all you see is like breaking
Yes.
his neck, and like, holy shit, this is really
You can
gory.
see like the
but
skin in their face rippling after they get.
yes, but all in all, like I thought it was really, really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That whole apartment fight sequence that was my favorite part of the whole episode, was just the banter between the two of them mid-fight even.
Yes.
That they were able
Yes.
to, sometimes fight scenes are just fight scenes, but that was one that carried the plot along.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're fighting along, they're fighting together, but at the same time they're not.
Yes.
Because they have so many problems between themselves. But were you a fan of the fact that they let the guy that killed Hector Ayala like live? That Matt was so adamant of Frank not killing him.
Like, you don't want the character to live, but you also know that who Matt is someone who wants to feel redemption. And so I know that if he had died, Matt would have just carried that with him. And so, for the purposes of Matt not having that guilt, I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I can see that. I was so confused because for some reason I thought this season was gonna be 10 episodes,
I did too.
and then when we watched episode 8, the ballroom episode, and I'm like, I wasn't the biggest fan of episode 8.
Mhm.
Now I really liked the last 15 minutes of it, especially the finale, the way things end with Matt jumping in front of Fisk and saving him and whatnot. I thought that was great. But when the episode finished, and then I remember I saw it on social media, it's like, oh, get ready for the finale next week, and I'm like, wait,
What?
that was the second to last episode? What? Oh man, I don't know if I really like the way they did this, but ultimately I thought it went great with what we got in episode 9.
I agree.
Yeah, but are you a fan of like binging models, or are you a fan of the week to week, like fleshed out stories? We get time with the characters in the episodes, and
I think that I prefer week to week because I have time to digest it or rewatch it if I want to, if I feel like. Sometimes you get to the end of the episode and you realize that whatever has just happened will make the beginning of the episode have more meaning or make more sense, so you go back and watch it a second time. So I like that week to week gives me time to do that.
Yeah. That's me as well. Plus, in my case, I want to be able to cover as many things as I can. So whenever they drop like a whole bunch of episodes of something, like Fallout is the last time that I that I remember, like, shit, I really want to talk about. And it was the hype of it. I feel like the hype of it also lasts way less than obviously week to week.
Definitely.
I don't know. I really don't know why streaming services don't go more for the week to week release. But
I've noticed a trend now with like Netflix, which is the big one for dropping everything for a binge. They've started releasing things in 2 parts.
Yes, I've seen that too. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Do you like that one?
The 2-part thing?
Yeah.
Kind of. It was fun with Stranger Things when it came out. Because I definitely sat and binged all of that when they dropped it. And then we
Yes,
had to wait a
yes.
month to see the ending.
Yep, yep. I don't know. My wife is a big fan of binging. She will binge the shit out of any show, and she loves to do it that way. She hates having to wait. Like for example, you're watching The Last of Us as well, right? Yeah,
Yes,
you are
yes.
watching The Last of Us. So we got episode 2, and
My
at least
heart.
at least she knew because she had played the game with me. So she knew already what was coming. But still, it's
Mhm.
like, what's next? Like, I need next Sunday now.
Yes.
But
I've seen them
yeah,
hint that he'll still be around in some form, so I'm excited to see what they do with that.
yeah. The
I have not played the game, so
oh
it's all
man,
surprising. I know.
there
I
is
think
so
you were the one in the Discord that whenever I got on and I was like, I'm not okay, guys, and you were like, to everyone who has not played the game, I'm sending you love
I'm
and
sending
hugs.
you a big hug right now. I feel like for anyone that's experiencing this story for the first time, I'm
Yes.
sending out a hug because listen, I was there, man, and yeah, it's crazy. It's funny that you mentioned the rumors that we might get to see Pedro more
Mhm.
in the next episodes, which if you've watched the trailer, you can notice things and you can
Yeah.
notice that they're in places that we have not seen yet.
Mhm.
Bella or Ellie and Joel.
Yes.
And but I made that video. Oh, the video that I think that you shared, the one that I made about Pedro.
Yes.
And I've gotten so many people in that comments. I've ignored it at this point, but they're like,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's gonna be every Sunday now, huh? Or like, oh, this video didn't age well, huh? And I'm like, if y'all knew what's coming, like we'll see Pedro again at least one more time.
And
But
to come back to Marvel, he's about to be
yeah,
in Marvel.
I was gonna say yes, exactly. Which now that getting back to Marvel in general, are you excited for what we're getting? Thunderbolts and well,
Yes.
Thunderbolts. It's the most recent or like the closest one we're to, but Fantastic Four as well.
Thunderbolts is the one as far as like Marvel properties go. It's the one I'm least familiar with. Even when I was working at the comic book store, we didn't have that many graphic novels or single issues of that team up. So I'm excited kind of going in blind because I like these characters. I've also seen some videos circulating. Florence Pugh did a lot of her own stunts. She jumped off the tallest building. Yes.
Just watching her, I'm good with heights, but listen, that's the second tallest building in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be easy. Like,
no.
Like, I don't have the stomach for that.
She was in an interview and she was like, they didn't want me to do it. And they were like, insurance isn't going to clear it. And she like texts Kevin Feige and she was like, no, we have to do this because it's going to be so good for press. And it was. That's just in my head. I can't wait to see it happen on the big screen.
Yeah. I really can't wait either. Do you think that, because there's been a lot of speculation about Thunderbolts and the asterisk, do you think that there's been like people thinking that it will actually be the Dark Avengers?
Oh,
like the version of the Dark Avengers within the MCU? Because I can't remember a whole lot about the Dark Avengers and who's in it. But
yeah.
I'd be down if so far what I've heard in terms of like people that have gotten to see the movie early, they're saying it's actually it's really good and it's a fun movie and the character development in the story is really good as well because it's not full of a whole bunch of cameos. It's what I've read. So
like I liked the new Captain America movie, but it felt very much like Marvel's older stuff, which isn't a diss, but it's just like this feels like something I've seen already.
Well, that was another great example for the story that was chopped to pieces.
Yes.
And had so many like people involved and people that came into the project and then for some reason left or they were kicked out or they had to restart everything and reshoot and rewrite. That has to be such a shit place to work, as an actor or any creative that's part of a film like that. it has to be
Yeah.
horrible, man, having to deal with that. So Captain America it's a really good example of a movie where you can kind of tell, like, okay, this definitely looks like they cut it from another
Exactly.
section that they had recorded before or filmed before, and they just like, okay, no, we're actually moving this to the beginning and then cut it there, and we're inserting this new thing that we actually came up with 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, because I remember the first trailer dropping for it, and I was like, wow, this looks like almost like an espionage type movie. And then it didn't feel like that.
In very few moments, it kind of gave me that vibe. Very few moments. But yeah, man, that's kind of what makes me a little bit nervous about the Blade movie.
I know, because
it's so freaking sad because and kind of what's a word that I'm not irritating. Well, it's a little bit irritating at this point because I just love Marshala so much, and I think he's such an incredible actor.
Yes.
And it's like, let's do this already. Like, let's just create a really good story and go with it, and let's get this done, because man, that movie I think it would be huge.
It would. It was one of those that got announced, I think, as far back as like 2020 or 2021.
Yes.
And I was so excited. Yes, I love this character. I can't wait to see this again. And it just keeps getting passed around and then canceled and then passed on to somebody else. And then we just switch up writers. And
Yep.
It's like, just let Ryan Coogler do it.
I know. I saw someone post like a funny meme about it, of like about Ryan Coogler writing and doing the whole Blade story, and that would be so damn good. Which we were talking about this before we started recording, and I told you I was going to bring it up again, but I'm so jealous that you went and saw Sinners again. It's such an incredible film, honestly.
He's fantastic at doing the show don't tell thing, where there is so much story there that no one's straight out telling you that this is what's happening. You just see it, and there's like story behind what you're just seeing on the screen.
Yes. Have you managed to watch any of those 2 times in a premium format?
No, we don't have any in St. Louis. I was looking up where they had them, and there's one in New Orleans, and I have friends down there. I was like, can I just like fly to New Orleans for a night?
Whoa, wait. But that might be the 70 millimeter, which I would love to see that one. But I'm sure St. Louis has to have like a Dolby Cinema. Dolby Cinema is incredible. I'm actually really trying to watch it again on Dolby Cinema before it goes out, because it has that great setup for music, and the screen is not as big as like IMAX, but it's still pretty big, and also the colors are more vibrant.
Yeah.
The darks,
more to see because the screen, because he filmed it so wide, if you have a bigger screen, you're just going to see more of what it was that he initially shot.
Man, it's incredible. I'm sure you listen, I'm probably motivating you to watch it a third time.
I know. Ryan Coogler, here's all my money.
I know.
Go broke watching Sinners.
Which, honestly, I'm happy that he's getting all the praises, even though some news articles started coming out, and it was, I don't know if you saw that, where they were putting up titles that looked a little bit like, I can't find the word. But
poor. Like, they took something that should have been a positive and framed it as a negative.
Yes.
So it said something like, Sinners only made $60 million this weekend, and Ben Stiller responded and was like, in what universe are you going to say only 60 million like it's a bad thing?
Oh my God. It's ridiculous, honestly. But yes, a Ryan Coogler, anything with Blade, honestly, he doesn't have to direct it or he can just pitch in ideas and for the story and all that, because that would be so good. And hopefully one day it would lead into the Midnight Suns, which is what I would really
Yes.
love to see one day, because I'm hoping that Disney and the MCU kind of start leaning more into the supernatural and
Yes.
the creepy horror aspects and genres, because everything that they've given to us that has to do with that genre has honestly been really, really good.
Amazing.
Right?
Agatha all along. If you had asked
Mm-hmm.
me a year ago if I
I
was
would have never thought.
excited, I would have been like, well, I'm going to watch it because it's Marvel, but not excited. And then it was one of those that I was just seated week to week. Nobody talked to me. Phones off. I got to see what
Yep.
happens this week.
Yep.
And if Patti LuPone doesn't get some sort of nod for that her-centric episode that was jumping around in time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was so good. That was so good.
Yeah.
The whole show was really good. I'm hoping now I'm hoping that they do a season 2.
Yes.
Or just expand it in a really in a way that
bring the characters back somehow.
Yes.
I need more Wiccan. When he comes floating down, that was fantastic.
Yep. Which we might see with they've been trying to do the Young Avengers thing.
Yeah, they
good
keep
while.
popping up in all of the properties. We got Wiccan. We've been hinted at his sibling, Speed. Is that what he goes by as his superhero name? Billy and Tommy.
Yeah,
Wiccan
Billy
and
and Tommy.
Speed,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
We got Miss Marvel, who has been in a few things now.
Yes. Name dropped in Daredevil Born Again.
Yes. And in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we saw Patriot. He's Isaiah's nephew.
Yes,
But he's just there. He didn't do a whole lot, but he was there.
Huh. I forgot about him. And then we got Kate Bishop, right?
Kate Bishop. Oh, more Haley Steinfeld. Please.
Exactly. There's a lot of things to be excited about in the upcoming projects for Marvel. And I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
At any point, did you ever feel like you started thinking, damn, I think some people might be right that I always hated this term, but Marvel is in shambles kind of thing. The MCU is in shambles.
I have never thought that it was in shambles. I do think that there was a point that I will say that I don't think they're at that point anymore. I think they've started to refine their footing. But there was a point where, like, here comes a movie. It's all new characters. Here's a post-credit scene. We never hear anything about that again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when it was originally happening, the post-credit scene was your hint about the next movie.
Yes.
And they didn't do that for a few films.
Yep. I mean, we still have that post-credit scene from, like, Shang-Chi, where he meets Bruce and Captain Marvel and I think Rocket,
like,
is it, or
something
Wong?
Cool. Yes, Wong is there. Something is happening with your bracelets. These are super old. All right, karaoke time. But I would have watched a 2-hour movie of Wong and Katie and Shang-Chi at karaoke.
Yes. Man. Yeah, I never really saw it that way either. I always understood that they were going through, man, I don't know, like an identity crisis almost kind of thing.
And the pandemic actually derailed some of the stuff that they had planned to happen.
There's a lot of people that don't really take in consideration how much the pandemic affected the film industry in general. And like, I know that to this point, we're watching movies that were created a little bit before the pandemic and were in production during the pandemic, and we're just now watching it.
Yes.
So that tells you something about how much it threw things, off.
Like, I know on the podcast recently we watched Midnight Mass. That was a show that filmed during the pandemic, and specifically they actually filmed on an island because they wanted to keep the cast and crew sequestered somewhere where they would be away from chances of catching anything.
Yes.
And I know one of the criticisms that the guys had when they were talking about it was the old people makeup. But I honestly
Ah.
think that it might have had to do with the pandemic that they chose to do it that way, because then they didn't have to cast as many people. They were able to keep the
Right.
cast as small as they possibly
Yes.
could.
Yes, it makes sense. I can see that happening for sure.
Pandemic affecting TV in ways
A
we wouldn't
lot. Yeah.
expect.
Yeah. It sadly affected a lot of different places and groups and things, and that was one of those. And the
Mhm.
film industry was definitely something that to this day we're still kind of seeing the results of
Yeah.
having to adjust a production for a film that has been made
Mhm.
during the pandemic. But yeah, I don't know. I think I did understand a few people whenever, like, with their frustration when it came to Marvel, the MCU,
Mhm.
because of, like you mentioned, continuation. It did not feel like it was there,
Yeah.
and a lot of times as well, it feels like they got, how do you say, what's that saying, like drunken shoot in popularity or something like that, like, when someone gets really really extremely popular and they
Kind
get
of
drunk with it,
power.
drunk with power, to put it that way, where
Yeah.
they thought that, oh, let's just put as many cameos as we can in these, every, like, either
Mhm.
show, movie, whatever it is, even if it doesn't even, like, have to do with the story that we're trying to tell people.
Yes.
Let's just put it there because they just love it. And it's
Mhm.
like, sure, I love cameos, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, man, like, I'm also really interested in
Mhm.
the characters that we have in this story right now.
Yes.
So let's just focus on them and just
Like
keep me attached to it.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a good example. Which isn't to say that, like, I love Riri Williams. I was working
Yeah.
in the comic shop when her comics started coming out, and I was like, oh, I love this
Man.
character. She's so great. And then that she felt kind of shoehorned into that story just because they wanted to introduce her. And I felt like that movie should have had so much more of a focus on Chadwick and losing
Mhm.
his character from the
Yes.
universe.
Yes. I think they started it in a good way whenever they first introduced Riri and what
Mhm.
they're trying to do. And I feel like if they would have kept it to that, but they did make it a point to, like, come back to Riri Williams
Yes.
and everything that was happening with her.
He did
Which
a good
again,
job of that because Ryan Coogler, of course, he's gonna figure out
exactly,
a way to do
exactly.
it.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that was one of those things that I did understand from people. But to say that, oh my God, Marvel is, just dead, I'm like, you're
No.
also not considering the fact that they're putting out a lot of things. And when you put
Yes.
a lot of things out, some of them are going to be incredible and others are just it has a chance to not be as incredible
Mhm.
or as good as some of your other things.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad, it's not that they're not good, it's
Yes.
just they're not as good.
Or it might just not be something that is your taste. Like, I
That
know
too.
a lot of people didn't like Eternals.
Oh
And
my
I
God,
think
don't even get me started. Don't even get me started with Eternals. I was a big Eternal stan. Like,
I
I'm
liked it
I'm so sad.
too.
I'm so sad that we're
I
not
don't
going
think
anywhere there.
people were just expecting it to be the same, and it wasn't. It's like, but it wasn't bad at all. It just wasn't something that is your taste, and that's
Mm.
okay. You
And
don't
new
need to like everything.
characters. Yeah, exactly. New characters. I always get so sad and like disappointed, honestly, that the movie did not get the recognition it should have.
And
And
one of
it's
your Game of
crazy.
Thrones boys, actually, two of them are in that movie.
Both of them are in there. Yes, yes, yes. Kit Harington and shoot, I forgot. I can't
Rob
believe
Stark. I don't remember the
yeah,
actor's
Rob.
name though.
I can't believe I forgot the actor's name. That's gonna kill me right now. I can't stop
Rick.
thinking about it.
Anyways, Richard.
Richard
No.
Madden. Richard
That's
Madden.
it.
Yes, yes. Thank you,
We
thank
got
you.
there together.
We did. Awesome. Yeah, I can't remember where I was trying to get with the Eternals, but man, I love. Oh, that I've seen quite a few people that have watched it they watched it the first time and then they have rewatched it, and on their rewatch they have completely changed their opinions
Yes.
over the movie, and they're like, oh man, actually I've taken more time to like understand the characters, understand the plot, the things that are happening, and I actually enjoy this movie. And I'm like, where were you when it was actually in the movies, man?
Yes.
But I don't know, it was frustrating.
Because
It's just so good.
specifically them hinting at Kit Harington's character becoming
Black
the
Knight.
Black Knight.
Mhm.
I want to see more of that.
Which isn't he part of the Midnight Suns?
Yes, he is part of Midnight Suns.
And then we get Marshall Ali's Blade.
Yeah.
Like doing his first cameo, and listen, man.
That's probably what they're like, well, Kit, you're just on call until Blade comes out. Sorry.
Yes. Oh man, it's sad. It's sad. I hate it every time I have to talk about Eternals, because I hate that it's not moving forward, and we're not gonna see that story. Now, I will say, I always thought that it would have been even better. Again, big fan of the movie. I own the movie. I thought it would have been better if it would have been a series. Sometimes I think, like, imagine if every episode was one of them, like from the point of view of each of those characters of the Eternals. And by the end, let's say like the last 2 episodes, then we get what we get.
Yeah.
Like the big fights and the big reveals and all of that. I don't know.
I think it would have also been good to have the episodes. It would have fleshed out all of the time periods a little better. And so we just get quick glimpses of everything throughout history.
That would have been so good. Whatever.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we at least we got some good things to look forward to with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, which
oh my gosh, it looks so good.
It looks really, really good. I'm really excited.
I can't believe I'm saying that about a Fantastic Four movie, but I am.
Yeah, that last one, I never even finished the last one, the one where they're like with Michael B. Jordan and all that.
Yes.
I've never finished it, but that might be the only superhero movie that I've started and not finished. They
just went a little too dark with it. And they're not characters that are supposed to have a dark story.
That's the thing with the new Fantastic Four that we're getting. Like, even the score, watching the trailers, it really does give you hope. And it's like it looks like a very hopeful movie, but at the same time you feel like the problems that they're gonna face are going to be crazy.
Yes.
And really, really bad.
And it's the last movie before we get the big crossover event. So what's gonna happen?
Yes. There's a lot of things, honestly, that I could not imagine what it is to be like. I would like to be a fly on the wall in a Kevin Feige reunion, meeting with like executives and all that, with like Bob Iger, I suppose, and all of that, and them trying to figure out, which, sometimes it's not the best thing because they've cut out quite a few projects that I thought that they would have been really good, but yeah, they just have so much. At this point, I think it's become almost like what the comics were.
Yes.
Where with the comics, you would always get the runs of the characters and the heroes that you loved, and you had all these different characters, all these different stories, and you get to choose where to go. I feel like that's kind of where we're at with the MCU, where there's just so much out there at this point.
I like that one of the titles they're getting ready to do is Secret Wars, though. I happened to be working in the comic shop during that it was a crossover event. Or sometimes you can just go by whatever title and it doesn't matter. During this period, all of the comics were connected. And so we're just like, there's too much to read.
Wow. I really wish I would have gotten into comics, man. For some reason, I got a few Spider-Man comics. Actually, my mom has them in PR. I need to tell. I was just in Puerto Rico. I could have taken them with me. Damn it. Well, I hope she hasn't thrown them away. No, I don't think so. Like, they're still in their slips, really, really well kept and all that. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about
Me
what we're
too.
gonna get. I'm glad that you liked Daredevil Born
Yes.
Again.
Loved
As
it. Ready for more.
someone who had watched Daredevil on Netflix already, because it seems like a lot of the criticisms that I've seen have come from people that watched the Netflix show.
Hmm.
In my case, again, I never watched it for some reason. I felt really connected with this story, and I understood as well that Matt was was on this journey to like find himself after
Hmm.
the tragic events of episode
Yes, the
1 where we
trauma. Another
exactly.
show giving everybody group trauma. The first 10 minutes of Daredevil
I
Born Again.
know. So I don't know. I was pretty excited to see Matt, finding himself and finally deciding like I have to do something.
Yeah.
And I also understand that we're getting a season 2, and this is a
Yes.
pretty. I don't know how many issues. That's how you call it. Like because Daredevil Born Again has like 5 or 6 issues, is it?
Hmm. I think so.
So I understood we're getting a season 2. This is not the end. I didn't really understand why some people were getting too frustrated with Matt not becoming or using his Daredevil
Yeah.
suits and stuff like
'Cause
that as much as they wanted.
Part of Matt's struggle is coming to terms with the fact that he is Matt Murdock, lawyer and Daredevil superhero.
Yes.
And that those aren't two separate things. They are just one cohesive person. And
Mhm.
I liked that we got to see him struggle with that this season. That was something I
Yes.
liked.
Yes. Did you know that we're getting season 2 next year?
That soon? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know, right? I know. It's it's a rare thing because as we know now, like shows take for some reason 2-3 years
Hmm.
to do so. I believe it's because they kept going at it after they finished the season
Yeah.
1, and they left it at a point where they could finish off their shootings and filming
Hmm.
and any rewrites if they had, which I hope they weren't any.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited that we're getting it
Me too.
already in 2026, and we don't have to wait 2-3 years to get season 2 because the way things ended is it's really promising and it's really exciting to
Yes.
see what's gonna happen.
Don't know if we'll see any crossover with those characters in the upcoming movies, but like crossing my fingers, we see some pop up in the big event movies that are about to happen.
Think that D'Onofrio, he was saying
Yes.
that Fisk supposedly they don't have the rights for
Yeah, they have
movies.
some
It's
sort
only
of
for
legal
TV.
thing.
And I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks because I would love it if they managed to take that character and build a whole story in the Fisk as Mayor with Spider-Man as well, especially if
Yes.
Spider-Man became more of a street level,
Mhm.
which we could even start talking about the fact that Spider-Man should even at least 1 or 2 episodes show up
Yes, Spider-Man,
in Daredevil Born
Kate
Again.
Bishop, Hawkeye.
Exactly.
Who all else is running around there that's a street level character?
Well, I'm sure they already said that Jessica Jones, she's gonna like the OG Netflix characters. I think they're set to come up in season 2.
I love, if you haven't watched that show,
My wife keeps telling me that it's a really
at least watch the first season. The first season
Okay.
where David Tennant was the villain on it.
What?
Beautiful.
Really?
Yes.
No, I have to watch it now. Like that's awesome. I mean,
It's
I was
so
already
good.
interested, but because she's like a detective or something like that, right?
Yes.
Is
She's a
it-
detective and her power is just super strength. She's just really, really strong.
Okay.
But Luke Cage also shows up in the first season. He actually got introduced there before being on his own series.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure they'll bring him around as well.
Mhm.
But I kept thinking during the last episode of Daredevil, like, there's no way all of this is happening. Like, this is huge. What Fisk is
Yes.
doing, shutting down New York City and all that. There's no way that Peter is just like, what happened? The lights went off.
I know he's doing his own thing after the end of his last movie, but like, come on, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Kevin Feige, hey, we the peasants, we ask you.
In
We
Feige
ask
we
you-
trust. please.
Yes, man. Well, Haley, Blofpum.
Yeah,
I've had such an awesome time.
I have too.
Again, I thought you did great.
Thank you.
For it to be your first time doing podcasting and whatnot, I thought you did great.
Thank you.
I had a really good time, and I'm sure just be ready because I will be letting you know.
Yes. If you want to talk about Thunderbolts after you've seen it, give me a
Yes,
call.
that works. That works. I'm planning on maybe having for like movies. I'm still trying to figure out how to go about it, but I would love to do for movies, like maybe at 2, maybe 3 more. No, yeah, 2 to 3 more. So making it 4 in total, max. 4 people max. I feel like that would be a really good thing to kind of discuss different point of views and different things that we catch throughout the movies. So yeah, I expect to see Haley around for Marvel content for sure, and who knows, maybe other stuff down the road. And yeah, this was a really good time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful to be here.
Love it. No, thank you for saying yes and just going at it. You did really good, and I look forward to it. Guys, remember you don't have any, because you don't even do content, right?
Not really, but if I do, I'll be sure to share it.
Please. Yeah, you please let us know. So sadly, there's like no page to follow or anything. Who knows? Maybe one day Haley will start doing it, and I'm sure it'll be Blofpum for
Probably,
sure.
Yeah.
But yes, remember to subscribe to the channel here on Binging Dragons on YouTube, Spotify. Those 2 are the ones for video and audio versions. And then Apple Podcasts, it'll be just audio. Don't forget to drop a comment. Let us know how we did, if you had a good time, your theories for Thunderbolts, and just how do you feel about the MCU right now and with the things that were the projects to come.
Mhm.
You can follow me as well at Crossroads. That's where I do more. It's a little bit of everything almost, and it's very random in terms of the stuff that I'm just watching. If I just watched whatever, I'll just record a reaction to it or a review short there. So yeah, make sure to follow those 2, and just thank you again, Haley. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? Stay safe, people. Thank you. Bye.